Let us pray. God, who we experience as Creator, Redeemer, and Spirit, we ask you to enlighten us as individuals to know strength so that we may bear any burden we encounter on the path to excellence, but also to know wisdom so that we may be tempered by both triumph and disaster alike. As a community, to know courage so that we may stand resolute in our ideals, but also to know understanding so that we may confront any dangerous challenge to our values with an enlightened veracity. And as citizens of the world, to know ambition so that we may restlessly strive to build a better future for those that come after us, but also to know grace so that those times to come are more tranquil than those in which we currently live. And as we join together and go forth from this time and place, let us never forget the words uttered by Tennyson, "'Tis not too late to seek a newer world." Amen.
You may be seated. Good morning. My name is Elizabeth McLeod-Walls, and I have the privilege of serving as the 15th president of William Jewell College. I am delighted to stand before this great audience and welcome all of you here this morning. Thank you for coming together with us to mark the official opening of our 168th year. Today's convocation is the 37th year of recognizing community service and leadership by adding a new class of William F. Yates Medallion recipients. The 177 William F. Yates Medallion for Distinguished Service recipients build businesses, create charitable foundations, give voice to the underserved, mentor our youth, and promote the arts. They give their energy and their resources to make Kansas City one of the nation's great communities, and to pave the way for our students who are on the cusp of becoming the next generation of leaders and critical thinkers. As I call your names, would past Yates Medallion honorees please stand if you are able to be recognized? We will hold our applause until all have been introduced. Alvin Brooks. Henry Block. Ray Brock. Georgia Buchanan. Patty Garney. The Honorable Fernando Gaitan, Jr. Anita Gorman. Joan Israelite. Jan Kramer. Dan Lambert. Shirley Pryor. David Ross. Sarah Fiddler Rowland. John Schaefer. And Dub Steincross. Thank you all for serving as profound role models for our students, future leaders of Kansas City, who have joined us today to learn from your example. This year's convocation marks a departure from previous ceremonies insofar as, for the first time, we are organizing fall convocation around a specific idea, indeed an important commitment that the college shares with so many who are here with us today. William Jewell College is known as the Critical Thinking College, an identity that stems from our unique critical thought and inquiry core curriculum, which typifies and defines a Jewell education. We, as a community of educators and learners, know that critical thinking cannot occur, and in fact, it is prevented from occurring when we do not insist on diversity of thought, experiences, and perspectives. This is why, among our key priorities as the Critical Thinking College this year, we are focusing on making a Jewel education accessible to more bright minds, to more students who otherwise would not be able to experience the transformative core curriculum and graduate as resilient, creative, and engaged professionals and citizens of the world. We join civic leaders, several of whom are on the stage today, in believing that access to higher education is vitally important for the Kansas City community to thrive in the coming decades. Our public and private high schools are producing talented students who deserve an affordable, outstanding education. We know that many of these students remain in Kansas City after college and will contribute to the success of their employers and their neighborhoods. To ensure that our alumni continue to make an impact on industry, the arts, commerce, and education, we seek a robust community of diverse and engaged scholars who already live in our backyard. Thus, at Convocation this morning, we are honoring civic leaders who have advanced educational access in Kansas City throughout their careers. Tom Block and Diane Cleaver have devoted their professional and personal energy to encouraging high-quality opportunities for underrepresented students in Kansas City. And Jan Kramer, our Convocation speaker, leads by example, supporting organizations and causes that make a difference in students' lives. We are proud to call each of these individuals friends of William Jewell. We are equally proud of our own work here at Jewell to increase access and to partner with these and other leaders to make Kansas City a vibrant, strong, and inclusive community. I would like to take a moment to highlight 3 Jewell initiatives designed to support access to education and enhance the diversity of perspectives and experiences in our campus community. In the coming year, Jewell will establish a Faculty Fellows program to increase diversity within our learning community. We will be supporting postdoctoral graduates from historically underrepresented groups in higher education to gain valuable teaching experience while enriching the campus culture and the curriculum. Jewell also is proud to join more than 70 community partners and the Kauffman Foundation through the KC Scholars Program to make education accessible and affordable. Low and modest income students in 6 counties on both sides of the state line may apply for significant scholarship at 17 area colleges, of which Jewell is one, providing 250 students each year a high-quality, affordable education close to home. And finally, this year, we piloted a leadership development program for rising juniors at the Ewing Marion Kauffman School. These students participated in an internship, were guided through leadership training and experiences at the Tucker Leadership Lab here on our campus, and experienced firsthand the kind of educational excellence pursued at Jewell. As we focus on these and other initiatives this academic year, we welcome our stakeholders to come alongside us and advance our students' futures. And I am delighted to share that a Jewell alumna and former trustee with a passion for social justice and diversity has stepped forward with a most generous gift in support of access. This alumna believes that everyone has a right to a high-quality education, a right to change their future, and a right to do that right here at the Critical Thinking College. We are grateful to have this Jewell supporter here with us today so that we can personally thank her for her gift. Diane Shoemaker has given $1 million in support of access scholarships for future Jewell students. Diane, would you please stand? Diane, thank you. Thank you. As we make Access Scholarships a high priority at Jewel, your leadership gift will make the impossible possible for so many deserving students and will inspire others to join you in supporting this work. You have stood with Jewel for many years, and we are proud to have you as a member of the Jewel family. Thank you for stepping forward again. There are many more examples of Jewel partners who enable us to be our best, and certainly our Board of Trustees is among them. They support our mission through their leadership and vision, along with their personal commitment to the college, and I would like to introduce those trustees who are here with us this morning. Trustees of Jewel, as I call your name, please stand. Gary Barnes, Susan Chambers, Patty Garney, Bill Gautreaux, Steve Carbank, Sarah Rowland, Angela Smart, Debbie Smith, Joy Steincross, and Buzz Willard. And now we truly have a gift, because I invite you to reflect on the beginning of our new year by listening to our concert choir as they perform a new song under the direction of Dr. Anthony Maglione, Director of Choral Studies. Wow. Remarkable. Part of what makes the Jewel experience enriching for our students is its location. A tight-knit and thriving community that is part of the fabric of Greater Kansas City and our region. Here to help us celebrate William Jewell's long relationship with the Liberty community is City Council member and alumnus, Greg Duncan.
Dr. McLeod-Walls, trustees, faculty, honorees, and the William Jewell community, on behalf of the Office of Mayor and City Council, I am pleased and honored to bring you greetings from the City of Liberty. I want to especially extend a welcome and congratulations to first-year students and transfer students who clearly make excellent decisions. Wise choice. My wife and I made that same choice to come to William Jewell a number of years ago, as did our current mayor and his wife, and our former mayor and his wife, and the mayor before that and his wife. And the mayor before that, his wife was my accounting professor in Jewell Hall just across the quad. So I don't really know what that means. Either we all come back or we can't get away. I'm not sure which it is. But I do know that whoever our next mayor of Liberty is, he or she best have a William Jewell diploma hanging on the wall. I think it's a criteria. Draw whatever conclusions you want, but I choose to believe that Liberty is in good hands in part because of what happens here at William Jewell, and that William Jewell is in good hands in part because of what's happening just right down the hill from you. When you as a college, I should say we as a college, claim the philosophy, critical thinkers in community pursuing meaningful lives, that doesn't just apply to these 200 beautiful acres or that jaw-dropping international program you're about to leave for. It also applies to the 30,000 neighbors you have just down the hill, that same philosophy. And as a perfect example, just 2 days ago, leadership from the key parts of our city, that's William Jewell, Liberty Hospital, the Liberty School District, and the City of Liberty, those four entities gathered together right across the sidewalk in the College Union to do that very thing, to get together, to do critical thinking, to exercise community partnerships, and to enhance the meaningfulness of the lives of our mutual constituents. The very thing you talk about here in theory and in marketing and in practice is also happening in practice in the City of Liberty and beyond. The resources available to you at William Jewell are phenomenal. There's more technology in the coffee shop at the PLC than was on the entire campus when I was here. Which isn't entirely true. We had a computer lab that was 5 green screens in the basement of Brown Hall, and it was awesome. It was something to brag about. But you have excellent facilities. You have top-notch professors. You have world-class technology, and you have the City of Liberty just across the street. So enjoy our restaurants. Come shop in our stores. Come to our events. Enrich your college experience with your local community. And likewise, we'll come to your games. We'll come to your performances. We'll learn from your research and attend your presentations, and you will enrich our community. So ultimately, whether your years on the Hill circle back and bring you back as mine have, or if they send you some far-flung place around the globe, right now, we're glad you're here for now. And the City of Liberty is grateful for this 168-year-old partnership, and we wish you the very best in this upcoming academic year.
I am honored this morning to recognize the William Jewell College faculty, a distinguished body of scholars who have chosen a most honorable profession and are dedicated to inspiring lifelong learners. I would like to introduce several new colleagues who have joined us since the last convocation, and many of them just this summer. As I call their names, I would like each to stand and remain standing. Dr. David Fox, Assistant Professor of Biology. Dr. Taksim Husnain, Assistant Professor of Civil Engineering. Ms. Ashley Menick, Assistant Professor of Accounting. And Ms. Patty Richter, Visiting Instructor of Nursing. Please join me in welcoming these new members of the faculty. Thank you. These new faculty join an esteemed group of colleagues. I would like to introduce one of them to you. In 2009, the Spencer Family Sabbatical Fellowship was started with the generous support of alumni Dr. Bill Spencer and Joan Cheryl Spencer. This program provides a full-year sabbatical to a Jewell faculty member to honor the excellent teaching and mentorship the Spencers experienced at Jewell. The competitive honor is intended to focus that same experience for other Jewell students by enhancing the teaching and mentoring capabilities of the Jewell faculty, as well as promoting scholarly achievement. This fall, we welcome back last year's recipient, Dr. Anthony Maglione, Associate Professor. Go ahead, yay! We missed you, Tony. Dr. Maglione is Associate Professor of Music and Director of Choral Studies. During his sabbatical, he composed a 25-minute composition setting texts from Song of Songs in Hebrew for choir, vocal soloist, organ, and chamber orchestra, and ancient and traditional Israeli instruments that will be premiered at the National Conference of the American Guild of Organists in Kansas City next year. He also composed a concerto for 2 trumpets and chamber orchestra, which will also be premiered in Kansas City. Dr. Maglione, if you would not mind, would you stand one more time for our recognition? And now I'd like to invite the entire faculty to stand and turn and face the student body. Representing the heart of this institution, the faculty members standing before you comprise a community of scholars who are dedicated to their students and profession, embodying the essence of lifelong learning and committed to rigorous intellectual pursuits. Students, in this academic year, we pledge to challenge you intellectually so that you may become more capable thinkers, communicators, problem solvers, and leaders in a world awaiting you. Please join me in recognizing the faculty of William Jewell College.
For 37 years, William Jewell has recognized Kansas Cityans who make this community great through selfless leadership and service. Today, we honor two servant leaders who have made their own mark on the community and are worthy role models for the entirety of the Jewell student body. We begin the recognition of our honorees with Mr. Tom Block, to be presented by Mr. Bill Gautreaux, class of 1985, and a trustee of the college.
Morning. Standing in honor of Tom Block this morning is his wife Mary, his father Henry, and also here with him are his friends Debbie Smith and Mark Myron. I feel like I'm being honored by being allowed to speak on behalf of Tom Block. There is a wonderful Jewish concept called tikkun olam. It means to repair the world. The title of my talk today is Tom Block, the repairman. Unlike most of us, Tom knew what he wanted to do when he went to college at Claremont McKenna in California. He was going to take his studies seriously and then go to work at the company founded by his father and uncle. He would start as a tax preparer and then work his way up to CEO. Simple, right? That was his plan, and he was almost singularly focused on this endeavor. I say singularly focused because along the way, he was introduced by a friend to Mary, and they had a wonderful first date. He probably knew then that she might be the one, but it took him a year to call back. And shortly afterwards, they were engaged. That's how Tom rolled. It took Tom 16 years of hard work to succeed his father, Henry, as CEO of H&R Block in 1992. By all measures, Tom was a good CEO. He had the respect of employees, customers, and shareholders. But something was not right with Tom. He was not intoxicated with his achievements and the power, money, and prestige of his role as CEO. As a songwriter, John Lennon put it, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." This is also true in business. In 1995, Tom came into his father Henry's office and announced that he planned to leave, that being CEO was not what he wanted to do anymore. Henry was shocked. He didn't understand it, but he was ultimately supportive. Tom joined St. Francis Xavier, an inner-city parochial school, as a part-time math teacher, and began going to school to earn his teaching certificate. 5 years later, he co-founded University Academy, a public charter school in Kansas City, where he was president of the board for 10 years and taught math until his retirement. He and his partner, Barnett Hellsberg, were two former CEOs with a knack for the free enterprise system. But they were taking on one of the most intractable issues on the planet, the inequity of urban education in America. Barnett said it well when he asked, "Who has the chutzpah to open an urban school? That's insanity." There were many bumps in the road, and it took many years to even create law and order in their school. Tom's loyalty, conscientiousness, and sometimes worried determination served them well. Tom Block, the repairman. Tikkun olam. As Barnett told him, "I don't worry. You do all the worrying for me." The Academy's enrollment grew significantly, moved into a $40 million facility, and has been recognized among America's best schools by both U.S. News and World Report and Newsweek. Tom chronicled his journey from CEO to inner city teacher and school founder in his book, Stand for the Best. His second book, Many Happy Returns, is a biography about his father, a pioneer in the commercial tax preparation industry. In 1981, William Jewell was proud to honor Henry Block with the Yates Medallion. Henry also turned 95 this year, and he is with us today. Retired from teaching, Tom remains active in Kansas City's education and philanthropic arenas as chair of the Marion and Henry Block Family Foundation and the University of Missouri Kansas City Foundation, and vice chair of the H&R Block Foundation. He's also president of the endowment fund for the Henry Block School of Management at UMKC and serves on the board of EPR Properties. Tom and his wife have 2 sons, Teddy and Jason, and 1 grandchild. Dr. McLeod-Walls, on behalf of William Jewell College Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to present Mr. Tom Block for the William F. Yates Medallion for being the best person that he can imagine being.
Recognizing honoree Mrs. Diane Cleaver is Mrs. Patty Garney, a Jewel trustee and 2001 recipient of the Yates Medallion.
Good morning. Standing with Diane Cleaver to honor her today are family and friends. Her son, Emmanuel Cleaver III, his wife, Sharon, her son, Emil, and her daughter, Marissa. The Honorable Judge Fernando Gaitan and his wife, Sylvia, and her dear friends, Beverly Bass and Georgia Buchanan. Oh, and her son-in-law is here. Welcome. Having been born and raised in Kansas City, Diane attended Bryn Mawr College. But the summer before her junior year, when she met Emmanuel Cleaver at a social function at Swope Park, and they began dating, she transferred to UMKC for her senior year. They were married, and this past June, they celebrated their 47th wedding anniversary. This lady has worn many hats and played many roles in her life. Helping others has been the theme for her career. Diane is a civic leader, a community activist. She has been an extraordinary First Lady for our city, and now, in addition to her current role as a minister's wife and the wife of a congressman, she is a busy professional making Kansas City a better place to live. Diane is a licensed psychologist and has done extensive work in support of education and mental health, especially focusing on the underprivileged and the disadvantaged. She has worked for the Kansas City, Missouri School District, Truman Medical Center, and Swope Parkway Health Systems. She is a trailblazer, and her caring efforts have touched thousands, both locally and around our state. She is currently the executive director of the Urban Neighborhood Initiative. Personally, she is the consummate hostess. Diane is passionate about her family and loves having everyone over to celebrate any holiday, especially Christmas. Her home is decorated to the nines, and she does all the decorating and all the cooking herself. Her son told me she's an awesome cook. Tasks that she very much enjoys. She loves movies and has seen every movie ever nominated for an Academy Award. She loves to dance, but she usually has to find a partner because her husband is not Fred Astaire. She is a volunteer, she is a fundraiser, and she is a friend raiser. We've worked together on community care at United Way and for Jazz Zoo and the Friends of the Zoo. And I always knew when she chaired a committee that the meeting would start on time and it would follow the agenda. She is firm but friendly in her leadership styles. She is kind and genuine. This is a take-charge lady who is well respected by her peers. Her knowledge of our community and her work ethic are legend. And she does it all with style and grace. One friend that I visited with said, "She's amazing." The role she enjoys the most is as mother to her 4 children, and especially as Gigi to her 5 wonderful grandchildren. Diane is a lady who understands that teamwork makes the dream work. I'm quite sure if she ever wanted to run for public office herself, that she would win. As I said earlier, she's worn many different hats in her lifetime. She's worn them all very well. She would certainly have my vote. Dr. McLeod Walls, on behalf of the William Jewell College Board of Trustees, I am very pleased to present Mrs. Diane Cleaver for the William F. Yates Medallion for Distinguished Service.
I gotta tell you, this is so much fun. Thank you again, Yates medalists, for leading by example, for giving so much of yourselves to make our community stronger. Mr. Block and Mrs. Cleaver, will you please stand one more time so that we can honor you? It is now my privilege to introduce today's speaker, Mrs. Janice Kramer. William Jewell College has long appreciated Jan's passion for access to education and her abiding commitment to diversity in Kansas City, which was one key reason why we celebrated Jan by awarding her a Yates Medallion for Service on this stage in 1997. Jan is known nationally for her leadership of community foundations, and especially for her pioneering work on donor-advised funds and donor intent. Retired as president and CEO of the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation and affiliated trusts, Jan orchestrated growth of the foundation's asset base from $14 million to $1 billion. Today, it remains a leader among more than 700 community foundations across the country. Jan is the incoming chair of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Board of Kansas City and an active civic servant. She serves as board chair of the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, as well as a board member of the Kauffman Center for the Performing Arts, the George K. Baum Family Foundation, the Dickinson Family Foundation, and others outside of Kansas City. Jan has received numerous honors, including the Entrepreneurial American Leadership Award, the Iowa State University Distinguished Alumni Award, the Salvation Army's Others Award for Humanitarian Leadership in Kansas City, and the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce's Athena Award for Professional Excellence and opening the doors of leadership for women. Jan is married to Thomas Kramer. She is the mother of Dr. Thomas Kramer, and she is the proud grandmother of 4. Please join me in welcoming Jan Kramer, William Jewell's very good friend, as she delivers today's Convocation address.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that very nice and probably too long of an introduction, but I appreciate you recounting some of my professional accomplishments, but most importantly, for mentioning my husband Tom, our son Tom, and the 4 great-grandchildren. That's the important thing. It is always a pleasure, and I mean that, to be here on the William Jewell campus. I know at times people say that, but as Tom and I were driving up here today, and actually arrived on campus, we had a wow moment again. It's so beautiful, it was great. But I want to talk to the students for just a second. This wasn't planned. So we get on campus, we're shown the various ways to get to the, where was it? Union, right. And you can see why we needed help to get there. But so we're on every step of the way. Students said, "Can we help you?" And of course you can tell we needed help. But here was the thing that impressed us. This really was not planned. You would look us in the eye. Many of you said good morning, or would say good morning back, which was interesting. But here is the crowning moment. We're in the elevator coming up to the 3rd floor, and Tom said to the 3 students in the elevator, "Did you enjoy the Chiefs game?" I'm not kidding. They said, "Oh, we were too busy studying." Now, I've got to ask you, who is able to orchestrate that? I mean, that was the best. So thank you, students, for the warm welcome and making it a little easier for me to speak with you for the next few minutes. As Elizabeth said, I've been invited here to talk to you not about easy topics, not access and inclusion, not because I don't believe in them. It could go a couple of ways. Either you would be so inspired and go, "Right on, Jan," or I'll start seeing you doze off. So I hope I'm going to start getting you right on, and this is something we're going to move forward on. And I was asked here, presumably because I have experience and expertise in these areas. I would acknowledge that I've had some experience. I've been fortunate in 30-plus years working in the community to learn and to be exposed to important ideas around these issues. But to claim I'm an expert, that would be a stretch. But what I will tell you is I have a passionate belief that both of these issues are critical values for William Jewell College to embrace at this time in the college's evolution. And I want to talk about access and inclusion as value propositions. Now, you heard about some initiatives that are going on, and that excited me. But access and inclusion cannot just be done on the level of program nuts and bolts, i.e., let's get those diversity numbers so that we look good. Access and inclusion can only work meaningfully if we see value in them. So in the next few minutes, and I promise you, just a few minutes, I want you to see how valuable your work in these areas really is within American society today. Access to college, as Elizabeth mentioned, for less advantaged students is part of the social justice mission for William Jewell. And it is also a way to build the economic and social vitality of our region. Statistics tell us that across the United States, upward social mobility is declining in places from small towns and to big city neighborhoods. There, frankly, are young people missing out on the chance to fulfill the promise of their lives, when in fact they could and they should be gearing up to play new roles in building a new America. William Jewell is already committed to that brighter vision, and I'm told that about 1/3 of the students now on campus are in the first of their families to attend college. For a private college, with tough academic standards, that's very good. And it's even better to know that your plans, your big campaign, your plans for the future include being very proactive in recruiting more young people who are working to move up. Inclusion is a goal that's related to access, but it has value on its own. It means welcoming and including people from all segments of society, from different racial and cultural backgrounds, and people with individual differences too. And this is important because our society itself is more diverse than ever, which is potentially a source of strength. But unfortunately, we don't see our diversity as a strength. Instead, we're letting it divide us. And we can try and analyze what got us into that fractured state. But the ultimate questions are, where do we go from here? How can we recognize the differences and leverage them into strengths? How can we build communities that are more than a sum of their parts to grow the pie for everyone? I know these are tough questions and they don't have simple answers, but what I do see is an opportunity for William Jewell College to lead the way. The college has the key ingredients that are needed to tackle the divisiveness in our society. First is the pursuit of critical thinking and discussion. These are hallmarks of your school, and now you are giving them an expanded dimension. When you make inclusion a priority by reaching out to attract students and faculty from many backgrounds, you are creating a campus that will not exist in a bubble. You are setting the stage for debate on the pressing issue of our times among people who know what it's like to live on all sides of these issues. And here's the second key ingredient I believe you possess. Dialogue of this type has to be done in the right spirit. We can't gloss over our differences trying to pretend that we already live in a peaceable kingdom. Nor can we keep on fighting each other. To illustrate the kind of spirit needed, I'd like to quote from an esteemed colleague of mine, Dr. Rafe Sonnenschein. Rafe, the author of the book Politics in Black and White, and he's considered a leading voice on addressing racial and ethnic tensions. What's needed for a fruitful dialogue, Rafe says, is a setting where people can be themselves, but also communicate, where the conversation can be real, but generous. Think about that, real, but generous. Imagine if all of our conversations were like that. And now here's the intriguing part. Rafe believes that these exchanges may happen best in a college that is faith-based. He says, and I agree, that misperceptions about faith are common. Some people think faith and reason are mutually exclusive, whereas in fact, faith can provide a moral basis for the highest uses of reason, and religious faith itself can be very helpful in unifying conversations and relationships. This college is no longer tied to a particular religious denomination, but it's kept its roots in faith. More important, it has kept its roots in faith combined with works. You can see it in the service and the outreach projects that students perform. They started with aid, missions overseas, and recently the projects are moving closer to home with students volunteering in Kansas City schools. So now, with the emphasis on access and inclusion, the next step is to bring the philosophy of faith combined with works all the way back home to the campus. Here you can apply it to the great experiment this college has undertaken, which is seeking answers to the tough questions of inequality and divisiveness in our time. There's no better place for such an effort. You have so much to build on. I've been close to this college for decades, working with the previous president, Dr. Saleh, through a difficult transition. And during that time, I've seen people here step up to face wrenching decisions, examining their consciences, turning to their faith for guidance, and then doing what they believe to be right, knowing that it would be a hard road ahead. Think about it. You've been through the refiner's fire. You've been tested. Now is your chance to set an example for the world. Wouldn't it be great if this small school in Missouri could become a living laboratory for access to better life and for finding strength in diversity? Wouldn't it be great to show that the best of your faith can go hand in hand with high standards of intellectual inquiry in a place where people work hand in hand for the good of all? That's the promise. But it will be a challenge on many fronts. You're already learning that access and inclusion are hard work. Diversity in the student body has hit a plateau in the past couple of years, and building the diversity in the faculty is even harder because the positions don't come open as often. And finally, we realize there are student challenges when you undertake these issues, these values. If we want access and inclusion to really work, it will require even more one-on-one personal contact with lots of personal involvement. Aaron North, the Vice President of Education at Kaufman and the architect of the Kansas City Scholars Program, gave me a couple of important insights. His main point was, don't generalize. The students are individuals who each have strengths and needs of their own. Some can jump right into the academic work but feel lost socially, others vice versa. Some could use frequent, regular mentoring and support, while others just have occasional needs. And he stressed this point: it is really important that the college be committed to offering a full spectrum of career options to these students to make sure that the world is really opened up to them so they don't miss out on any possibilities. And finally, Aaron feels the key to building a good access program is that individual attention must start as early as the recruiting process. If you can excel as matchmakers, in other words, you're committed to helping identify students who will fit in at William Jewell, but as importantly, William Jewell is a fit for them, you're going to be off to a good start. Now, what I've just said, I hope you're saying, but we already do that. And that's the good news. This is already in your skill set. This college is dedicated to having personal relationships with every student. And your commitment to service and social justice matches up with the spirit we found among urban youth. When these young people go to college, they go as pioneers from their neighborhoods. They talk about wanting to give back and help others get ahead, which means that when you recruit these kids and it's a good match, you could be getting future ambassadors for your social mission. Finally, your academic mission is appealing. It is to build critical thinking within a far-reaching context. And I love how Elizabeth puts it. We are critical thinkers in a community of people pursuing meaningful lives. Think about it. This is a much larger, more inspiring vision than I'm here to get a degree and a good job. Your vision includes economic self-sufficiency, upward mobility, but it's not limited to these goals. It is a vision that encourages people, the students, to dream big. It's a vision that invites people to think beyond themselves seeing themselves as part of a community to which they can contribute, and also knowing that as members of that community, they are never alone. That's a powerful feeling. To the extent that you can make it real for every student, it is the definition of empowerment and a big step forward in making access and inclusion real. So, may the power be with you. We in Kansas City stand behind you. Personally, the work that you are doing is the right thing, in the right place, and at the right time. And I really want to thank you for letting me have this conversation with you today, and I hope it will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, for reminding us that the hard work, the difficult conversation, and the critical thinking that goes with it requires us to be real and generous. That's a powerful sentiment. And thank you for your faith in William Jewell College, for living out your own commitments to access and opportunity in our community. We're honored to have you here. Guests here today, thank you for celebrating with us as we have begun this new year, as we recommit to learning and growing together and serving this great community that we love. We will conclude our ceremony with the singing of our Alma Mater, followed by the benediction by the Reverend Dr. Andrew Pratt. Then please remain standing in place for the formal recessional. Now let's join in singing the Alma Mater of William Jewell College.
In benediction, receive these words from Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. Understanding someone's suffering is the best gift we can give another person. Understanding is love's other name. If we don't understand, we cannot love. Amen.